Andy, this is just such an honor for me to have this opportunity to have a conversation with you. In preparation, I was just digging through previous interviews and looking into your history more than I knew just, from knowing hearsay. And, what I saw throughout all this research was just evidence of somebody who's curious, willing to experiment, willing to change paths as time calls for it. And you have such an exciting journey, and I'm so excited to talk about it. I'm also excited to talk about burgers. But I want to start off with kind of how you became to be the person who you are. I know. Well, so we'll go at it one piece at a time. And I want to start off with what did you eat in the house as a child?
That's a great question. And I'm really happy to be here. And hello, everybody. Nice to see you all. I like to tell the story of when I was in first grade, my mother made popovers a lot. This is 1974, I believe, 5, right around there. And we ate a lot of popovers and tuna fish, and we would she'd make tuna fish salad, and we put it inside and eat it. And the reason is that's really cheap. So we were a federally assisted single mom, and so that's, my mom had the ingenuity to make things that were healthy and good for a little boy and my sister as well, a little girl. And so that was probably about as far as creativity. My father, great guy, not the best cook. His signature was creamed eggs on toast. Anyone ever had that? Old English thing. It's onions and like a milk sauce, like a creamy milk sauce with hard-boiled eggs where you put the whites in there, and then you put that on top of English muffins with grated yolks on top. So it wasn't a very creative household by any means, in food-wise.
And neither of your parents were professional or cooking professionally.
No, but if you're trying to get kind of sort of like, how do we get here? My father owned a punk rock club, a punk rock recording studio. He managed bands. So there's a lot of entertainment that I saw. So I think that's there is some kind of line there of why I do entertainment every night.
Yeah. So do you think, was it that drew you to say to your father, I want to cook back in the 1980s when you were a teenager?
Maybe, but more so, I was cooking. In fourth grade, I did a demo how to make donuts. Again, the 70s, the 80s, I'm a latchkey kid. There's nobody at home telling me what to do or when to do it. So I grabbed the Joy of Cooking book and learned how to make donuts. You think about, would parents today let their fourth grader stay at home and fry donuts? Probably not. But there was no one around, so I did what I wanted. And I also had to fend for myself. So there was, I had to make my own meal. So I think it was something that actually more than, I'll get into the psychology actually of this, but it was more quickly that I was able to do something pretty good and get an immediate result. So for me, that was really great. Secondly, I worked at a restaurant, many restaurants, but in a restaurant, I think, and again, I'm not trying to disparage my father, who I was living with at the time, great guy, but he was busy. I think I wanted leadership, and I think I wanted a family. And so that's what you get in a restaurant. And so I got that family, I got that tough love, and I just loved it. I loved every minute of it and thought it was the coolest thing. So when I did tell my father that that's what I wanted to do, he wasn't super psyched about it.
I'm going to bring up two names, and I'm curious what you remember learning from these two people, Ken Mullins and Chef Alan Gibson.
Oh, that's awesome. Ken Mullins, first job. This is at Hazel's Bakery in Needham, known for their Canadian health bread. I learned a lot. I learned I really didn't like WJIB Ding Ding and Boston Waterfront, always mellow music. It was like Muzak, but like Michael Jackson was big at this time. You'd hear Michael Jackson, but it was in a Muzak form. Ken was the angriest pastry chef you've ever met. And I'd get there at 6 a.m. On a Saturday, and he'd been there since 4, just grumbly. But he taught me how to scale and or do recipes, and he was a great guy. And he was all for it when I told him, I think I want to do this. So he kind of showed me things to do. What a great guy. I don't know if he's still around, but he was a really good man. It was a little, donuts. So here I am making donuts again, which is neat. And then Alan Gibson, who passed a while back, unfortunately, he was the chef at the Pillar House, and I worked there. I loved working there. What a cool place, and really fancy. I was still in high school, and I wanted a raise. I think I wanted a raise from $8 to $8.50 or something. And he's like, yeah, maybe. Like, he's like, look at you, you're a mess. And I know you want to go to you're going to go to Johnson & Wales in 3 months, so you need to work clean and dice an onion for me in a month. And then I'll give you that raise. And then he did. And he always kind of pushed me and taught me things. So I was actually very well prepared when I went to Johnson & Wales.
You have this incredible resume for a teenager, getting experience in a bakery, which I don't know how many people we have inside the industry here, but a bakery is a place where science is at the forefront of the production more so than other fields of cooking. And then you're at this historic house, the Pillar House, just dripping with character. If somebody came to the Smoke Shop BBQ with your resume, right? They can't because the Pillar House is closed. But would you hire them? Would you give them a shot?
Sure. I mean, someone young, we'll give anybody a shot at the Smoke Shop. We love people who don't have much experience. We're really good at training, and we like to build people. So whatever we can give them, we will. Absolutely. Yeah.
You went to Johnson & Wales, graduated in 1992, and right out of that experience, you joined the East Coast Grill in Cambridge. You were hired and correct me if I'm wrong, you were hired as a sous chef working under Chef Chris Schlesinger, and then within a year, you were promoted to executive chef at the age of, I imagine this is 23 or 24. Can you tell me, sorry, if you have anything.
No, go ahead.
What did you learn from that experience? What cuisine did it expose you to?
Wow. I mean, I learned everything there. So you're kind of right. And it just, I'd been working throughout my college. Johnson Wells is 4 days, so I worked those other 3 days. I worked for a guy named John Elkay. Really great experience. I worked on Block Island for 2 years, really learning about fish. It was an amazing job out there. Block Island's awesome. And then I graduated and I went to Europe for a while, and then I came and got a job. They actually hired me as a prep cook, and quickly then made me sous chef. And then within 6 months, I was the chef. What did I learn? I mean, Chris Schlesinger, if you haven't had an opportunity to meet him, and he's down in Westport mainly now, one of the coolest, nicest guys ever. And for me, when I walked in there, I used to work. And John Elkay in Providence, Rhode Island, we used to call him Chef Post Facto because he would always post the schedule like on a Thursday for that week. And I'm like, am I working this weekend? What's going on? He's like, don't make plans. And which was true. Like, you worked me hard, and that's fine. But at East Coast Grill, I'm like, I just said, I'll do whatever you want. Just give me 2 days off, and preferably in a row a couple of times. And he's like, oh, we'll do that for you. He goes, we'll work you, and we'll give you those 2 days off. And they kept to their promise. He treated me, he was such a great guy, taught me so much about the industry. One of the things he taught me, which I try to teach my team members, is finances. So, I've been around a long time, and I had Tremont 647 for 20 years, and I watched people open restaurants and get Beard Awards, which are happening tonight, and Best New Chef and Boston Magazine this, and I just plugged along, and I watched them close their restaurants, and we plugged along because I had the background of business and good people around me. It's like what Chris taught me really helped me go really far. So I'm very thankful for him.
I think I've heard you also say that was where you were introduced to barbecue.
Yes, and then you should say what the quote. You had asked me what kind of cuisine did I learn. So his food is equatorial's food from warm climate. So I opened my eyes. It was really funny when I first started working there. He's talking to me about what I ate as a kid and all these things. And I had made something. And he tries it and he looks at me and goes, "You see that guy Elmer over there?" He goes, "You don't. Everything you make, he tries." And he goes, he gives approval if it's good or not. Because, I grew up with a family that maybe we didn't really season well. And so I had to really learn how to season. And that's, his food was so big and vibrant. And gosh, he was so ahead of the time. What was the question you asked me?
It was just more confirming that that suspicion confirming that fact that I heard that was where you were introduced to barbecue.
Oh yeah, barbecue. Yeah, the biggest fight I ever got. In fact, I almost got fired over this. I almost got fired many times. But it's the mentor-mentee relationship, and that was my job as the mentee, is to push and challenge. Right? We got a huge fight about asparagus, which I was right, because I wasn't blanching it. I was just chopping off the ends and grilling it. And he like freaked on me. He's like, "You got to blanch this." And I'm like, "I don't understand why. It tastes just as good." And then when I go home, last night we had asparagus. I just grilled it. It's just as good. Anyway, he wanted me to work at the barbecue place, and I wanted to be a fancy chef. The actual plan was not to be here. The plan was to leave the East Coast Grill and go to New York and become a fancy chef. That was the plan. So he made me work at Jake and Earl's one day a week, and I kind of sort of like, that's where I sort of fell in love with it. I still wasn't committed to barbecue at that point, but I started to understand how complex and how difficult it is to not just make great barbecue, to make a consistent great barbecue.
For those of you who don't know, Chris Schlesinger is the nephew of Arthur Schlesinger. Just making that little connection there. This is the point in your life, to me, when I'm looking at your biography, where you have been chugging away. You've been succeeding as such a young chef, and you go away for a year, 1995, do a little traveling out west, seeing the country, and when you come back, your focus. Your passion is undivided, I think, but your focus is bifurcated. You have fine dining on the one hand, and you have your passion for barbecue, which not long after starts to become a passion for competitive barbecue. Can you tell me, let's start with the fine dining part of it. Tell me about the experience of opening up Tremont 647.
Yeah, that could be a book in itself.
I think it should be.
Yeah, I'm working on it. So I did travel. I worked on Elizabeth Berry's farm in Santa Fe. If you've ever seen the Mark Miller's chili pepper posters, she's the one that grew them. We would go tend Georgia O'Keeffe's gardens. She's not around at this point, but that was her part of the job. I was low man, so I dug a lot of ditches, literally. But what's neat about it is they cut me early every day. We'd be up at 4 a.m, but they would cut me at say 9 or 10 to make lunch, and then again to make dinner because I could cook. So it was great. I could work all these heirloom beans and learn how to use a pressure cooker, like an old school one. It was neat. Then I rode my motorcycle to San Francisco and worked in San Francisco, a bunch of restaurants, and that was fun. And then I came back and I opened Tremont 647, which was a long, really hard process. I had $5,000 to my name, and that was my balance. That's like on my balance sheet. That's what I said I had, but that included a motorcycle and a stereo, right? So I had no money, and I'm just really was asking if I knew any of you. I would have, and maybe I did know you, and I asked you for money. I would have asked anybody for money. Can you give me $1,000? Can you give me which? I know today isn't a lot of money, but in 1996, that's a ton of money. And we raised $350,000. My partner and I got Chris Hart, who's my best friend, business partner. And we opened at the age of 26 years old, this really cool restaurant. I wouldn't say it was necessarily fine dining, but it was, American, little higher than say neighborhood bar kind of thing. But yeah, it was really fun and just really intense. You only know what you don't know until you figure that out. So now I know I knew nothing, but I thought I knew it all. It's a good experience.
And you found some success there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that was very successful.
Yeah. And then on the other side of things, you start, I don't know how you first learned about barbecue competitions, but you developed this team with Chris Hart.
Yeah, so Chris, I have to be very clear that Chris Hart is the leader of the team, and he is the pitmaster, not me. So, like, he's like the Tom Brady, and I'm like the Julian Edelman. So what actually happened is Chris was my business partner. He didn't want to be in the business. And it was really rough on us because we were best friends with the same heart and husbands, same homeroom, and from high school. So we knew each other from then. And he left, and we were both upset. I can't speak for him, but I knew I was very upset. I couldn't understand how we worked so hard for this thing, and he didn't love it, right? Like I couldn't get it. I get it now, but so we didn't talk for about a year. And then that hadn't, I mean, I known since I was 14. We had talked every day, right? So it was hard. And one of us called each other and said, hey, there's that barbecue competition. Let's go do it together. It was the Pig and Pepper, I think in Carlisle or Acton, Mass, or wherever it was. And it rained and we got soaked. But this guy, Uncle Jed, brought us to his tent, gave us some bourbon, gave us a warm fire. The next day we got a little third place trophy. And that kind of started it all. And we built a team that did pretty well. I'm
curious, looking out at the room here, how many people, this is going to be a real easy question, but raise your hand if you've used a spatula before. Cooking, yes. Okay, so almost everybody's used a spatula. How about a whisk? Okay. How about a syringe? Okay.
For cooking.
Like a syringe.
Not Ozempic.
Can you tell us a bit about how your barbecue was, or how you differentiated yourself in the barbecue field?
Yeah. So, to get really good at barbecue, you got to do a bunch of stuff, and I know where he's going, so I'll get right there. But like any sport, it really is a sport. You need to do the licks. You got to do the reps. You got to keep doing it over and over again. But it's more than that. So competition barbecue is like NASCAR. Right? First of all, it's like the Lance Armstrong of barbecue. It's needled full of stuff, right? Sulfates, nitrates, MSG, anything we can put into it, we would put into it. Because you have to understand, when you're competing, say we got first place brisket in Kansas City out of 510 teams. Only 6 people tried it. So there's 500 judges, but only 6 people try it. You have to win that table, and it has to be mind-blowing. And they're taking probably 1, maybe 2 bites. So it's got to be, like we're using Wagyu briskets, right? It's just this really rich, really intense experience. Like NASCAR, you would not drive NASCAR on a normal street. This is not made for like people to really eat. It's so rich and so buttery. So yeah,
I don't want to eat that at all.
I mean, it's good. You would take a bite, but like, you don't eat Wagyu steaks, really. You may eat a little bit or something, but it's an intense experience. So competition barbecues is wild stuff.
Yeah. I want to get to burgers, and so we're skipping over like the last most successful part of your life, the last 25 years. But you let's see. Can we do a rapid fire of how to do a burger? What is the proper ratio for a blend of beef?
Okay, so let's just start with this. If you want to put, I know I'm taking too long. I'm talking rapid fire. If you want to put ketchup on your hot dog, go nuts. I am not going to tell people what to do. I'm not. Whatever your preference is. So listen, I'm trying to lose weight, so I'm going to go 90-10. But an 80-20 is classic. That's going to give you your juiciest one.
What seasoning are we putting on there?
Most of the time for me, it's just salt and pepper. So the reason my food is better than your food is we use way more salt. It's whatever you think. This is why, again, back to Elmer. He's like, whatever you think for salt, double it. So like, just double your salt.
Okay, what role does a dimple play in burger making?
It's not just that. It's you gotta. Sorry,
that's right.
This whole book came out of an argument with Chris, just so you know. Cool. This book is about how to make the perfect burger, and we argued for days about this, and then we decided to write a book about it. But it can't be a Frisbee, okay? It cannot be tapered off sides. It's got to be perfectly straight sides. My wife, I drive her nuts when I come home and she's like making burgers and I'm like sitting there making them perfect. They got to be perfectly like straight sided, and then you push a little dimple on top so when it cooks, because meat it contracts, it will become bulbous like not like a hot. You want it to look like a hockey puck. Otherwise it will look like a softball. And so you put that little dimple on the top that will counteract that.
Let's talk about temperatures. What should the thing you're cooking it with be? What should the burgers be? Should they be sitting out on the counter getting ready for that grill?
So to start off with the burger, again, 4th of July is coming. Don't make your burgers, in the sun, in the warm. The temperatures are gonna, if your hand is warm enough to actually start melting the fat, and you're gonna get a crumbly burger, a dry burger. If you do that. So do it in the morning or the day before when it's cool, not outside. So good burger. Room temperature or cold, either way, I don't necessarily care. Room temperature is probably a little bit better, depending on what temperature kind of your end goal is. You're going to cook it super high. We're talking 800,000 degrees, right? So really, really, really hot. What we want is that Maillard reaction. I don't speak French, so sorry about that. But it's that caramelization that happens at or above 310 degrees, right? Like it's that caramelization of meat, right? And I think I heard on NPR one time they were talking about why we love that so much, and that our ancestors, they cooked meat over a fire, so it's kind of built into our DNA, that smoking, burnt meat flavor. So that's where we're trying to get. So super, super high heat. And then I cook mine to like 130, but you can cook them to 125 as rare, to 165 as well if you like.
I want to get to a couple audience questions we have, but before, just one quick thing. You often see people taking a tool, spatula maybe, and squishing it down. Good, yay or nay?
If you want to. Not. Don't do that to mine, but... it depends. So you're kind of going towards smash burger. That's a whole different thing. My buddy, and he's a chef, and he's got that one of those, what are the Blackstone grills, whatever those called, right? That's kind of like a plancha, right? And it's like, I'm like, you're just a short order cook. I'm like, I'll take mine over medium, and my hash browns scattered, right, and capped. I don't get it. So and if you're pushing it down on a flat top, you're kind of getting that. You're getting that kind of smash burger style. But on a grill, all you're doing is pushing the liquid out of it. And if that's what you want, you're just going to make it drier. I don't see the reason for that.
We have 3 audience questions. I actually want to do all 3 if we can. Grass-fed beef. It cooks different than corn-fed beef, supposedly. What is the advice you have for that?
Grass-fed beef is awesome. We don't necessarily use it for barbecue, because it's so lean. But when you're buying it at whatever market you buy it at, it's going to be 90-10. It's going to be 80-20. So because they'll blend it, so they'll make sure that the fat is in there. So really, really good. Great for the environment generally. I don't treat it any way different than cooking it. It cooks about the same. Yeah. Negligible.
This next question asks, is there a type of grill that's best for burgers? And I'm going to kind of change the wording and say, is there a type of cooking device for burgers? Because I have a feeling you might recommend something that's not quite a grill.
No. So this was the argument, and Chris was like, you got to cook it on a plancha or something really hot, and even like a diner. That's what he really likes. I like live fire. I'm not a big fan of gas grills. Just gonna hands down, no. Okay. I don't care. You're like, oh, it takes so long to heat up the charcoal. You're gonna eat dinner. Just light it earlier, right? Oh, I gotta clean it. Yeah, you got to clean everything, right? I don't get it. It's so much better flavor. Charcoal or wood is so much better. So I'm always going to go wood. Look, you can do a Weber. I love a good Weber, right? Those are great for tailgating. I'm not going to tell you to opt into the most expensive thing, which is what I have, which is a big green egg. I have the extra large. It's amazing, absolutely. But I'm not a label snob here. They have a big red egg. You can get any kind of Komodo style grill. Those are all really, really, really good.
The next question, I feel like it's something that's on the back of the general population's mind. Faux burgers. Is this, well, here's how they phrased it: good or an abomination?
Are we talking? What do you mean by faux?
Yeah, I'm wondering. Let's talk about
So listen, in my book, we've got all different types of burgers. We've got turkey. We've got what?
Okay, well,
veggie, yay. Impossible meat, nay. Don't ever give it to me. So, but here's the thing. There are people who have health concerns, but they want a burger. Then yes, absolutely. I from my understanding, it's great. You know, I don't really want my food coming out of a laboratory. So that's me. We were doing some kind of fake chicken at the restaurant. What was it called, Chandel? Do you know? VFC or something. VFC was awful. It was weird. I just thought it was gross. So, but now we've got these unbelievable shiitake burnt ends. In fact, we are going to digress. We are getting complaints because people call us and go, "You gave us burnt ends." We're like, "No, really. They're mushrooms. They're so good. We're a victim of our success."
I think, and this is my personal, opinion and approach. I think what I would like to see as somebody who cooks. Is rather than a lab-grown substitute, I would like to see exactly what you've done, which is you take natural ingredients. You have a recipe in this book for a beet burger.
Yeah, that's good.
And can you talk about the texture of the beet burger?
Yeah, it's kind of meaty because we dice or chop up the beet. I was just looking at that recipe. It's such a great recipe. And it's got beans in it because it's creamy and it makes it rich, right? So it's a good burger. But it's not gonna, if you're like, listen, if you can't eat meat but you really want it and you used to eat it, then I think the Impossible Burger, from my understanding, is fine. I'm not gonna tell people what to eat.
Yeah. Do we have any vegetarians in the audience tonight?
Just I eat mainly vegetarian when I'm not working because I eat a lot of meat at work. So.
I want to talk about the history of burgers a little bit. Is there anybody in the crowd who knows where the supposed birthplace of burgers is? Kansas City, New Haven, and what are we talking about in New Haven? Louis' Lunch is a place that somehow they convinced the Library of Congress that they were the first official burger. Can you talk about the kind of the murky history of burgers?
No, I can't talk to the history of burger. I'm fascinated though. This is cool. I just think what's neat about burgers, and you can say barbecue too, is it's Americana, and it's something that kind of almost everybody loves. And to me, it's why I cook barbecue, because it's just a cool thing that everybody loves.
On the topic of Americana, I know a lot of chefs, when they're cooking, they put some music on. Do you have a playlist, something that you listen to when you're cooking?
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, I do Spotify like everybody. It just depends on, depends. It could be anything from jazz to, I don't know, White Zombie, and everything in between, I like a lot of funk too, so Parliament, that kind of stuff. Depends.
Very nice. We have another audience question, and it is, they ask, what is the perfect Andy burger? I'm not sure if they're referring to an actual recipe you have in your book, which is the perfect burger.
Yeah.
Let's say they're asking you specifically, you as a person, what is your, if you had to dream up a burger right now and eat it, what would it be?
Yeah, so I have big hate for brioche. I know I have brioche recipes in my book, and those are good, but I don't mean the ones that you're baking, but the ones that, or you probably can buy it at Flour. I'm sure and whatever she does is great. But the ones that you're seeing in most restaurants are coming from like Cisco or something. They're not a lot of butter fat. You get them in the hotels, or everybody's like brioche bun because it's fancy, and it's the worst bun because it just falls apart. So, and that wasn't the question you asked me. The question you asked me is what? So, potato bun, right? Absolutely. If you can do it, the Martin's. Big one with the sesame seeds on it. It's my favorite bun. I love a good aioli. We have this amazing aioli in the book, but also a little ketchup, a little mustard. So at my house, we make secret sauce. I have 7-year-old twins. They don't get to know the recipe till they're 10. They keep bugging me. I didn't even tell my wife the recipe. And then I like, iceberg. I love iceberg. I think it's a great, great lettuce. I think bib is silly. Whoever puts bib on it is silly. Red onions, tomato. I just want an American cheese or cheddar cheese. I'm good with either.
Are people aware of the criticism of brioche buns for burgers? Yes or no? Can you talk? Well, you already did. They fall apart.
Yeah, they're awful.
Yeah. Was this
Mainly because these are like made in some giant factory, and they're not like, if you make a true brioche bun, it's gonna be yummy. But it's so rich and buttery. I don't think a burger needs that. A burger is rich already.
was it intended to be comical that like I think it's the last page is your brioche bun recipe. You're almost like, okay, I'm gonna put it there, and it's not even on a burger recipe. It is a burger, but it's a dessert burger. It has pistachio gelato instead of a hamburger.
Yeah, no, I mean, because we thought it went best that way. I mean, that's the reality. It's what we write. We write what we like.
I want to hear about one recipe. I think you have a story, at least in the write-up for the recipe. You said there was one. Pig candy. You said you learned how to make it during a barbecue contest in Windsor, Vermont. Do you remember the story?
I don't. Let's just be clear about barbecue competitions. It's a lot of whiskey, a lot of cussing, and a lot of competition. I mean, that's kind of that's your weekend right there. But no, we were doing is we were trying to, we wanted something, so there's chef's choice, which isn't the four main categories you're competing with, and bacon was the entry. And we wanted to make it like brulee. And so that's what we went to try to do is brulee it.
Yeah, and I'll just say the ingredients you have listed: brown sugar, cayenne pepper, bacon, and maple syrup.
Yeah. That
sounds delicious. Can we talk about the homage to Island Creek Oysters burger?
Yeah. I mean, that's because I love those guys. We all, when you start looking at a cookbook and you're starting to figure out what you do, one of the fun things that we like to do is kind of just fantasize and talk about what is it that we want to eat and what would be good and why is it good. And so this book, I don't know how many recipes are in it, 80 maybe, but usually you have like 200 recipes and then you're whittling them down. So there was probably a clam one too, I'll bet. But we're just like, thought that briny saltiness to go on a burger is like a perfect combination. And it's fried, by the way, so kind of like an onion ring. So.
Yeah, so there's a fried oyster within the burger.
Yeah.
And I imagine it kind of creates like a juiciness that you don't get. Yeah. We're getting a question about adding different types of wood to a charcoal grill, not necessarily a smoker. What are your recommendations?
Unless you're a super taster, it's probably not going to matter to you too much. So when we talk about grilling, grilling is about speed. So you don't really grill things. And so if we're technically talking about grilling, there's grill roasting. I wrote a book on grilling too. So there's grill roasting, right? Or two-zone. There's all these different ways. But when you are talking about grilling, you're talking about a really hot heat. So it's not sitting on there for 2-3 minutes and you're usually moving it, right? Otherwise it's going to burn. So therefore the wood isn't necessarily going to change the flavor for you. With that said, I mean, I like pecan is cool, oak, hickory, which is local, real good, maple's fun, mahogany is not good at all, be too black smoke. But yeah, wood is cool, and if you got a whole, like you're burning wood that's what you're using, that's great. But I would guess that just on grilling, if you're grilling a burger, I'm going to guess that 95% of you couldn't tell the difference of different woods. I don't know if I could on grilling.
One thing that struck me about this cookbook is that you're not the only person contributing to this. You have kind of guest like recipes from other people, and that is a recurring theme. I think, or collaboration is a recurring theme in your career. You talked about using internet chat groups to figure out the best techniques for those barbecue competitions. The one that I'm thinking about, a recipe that comes from a contributor, is the Brat Burger. I can't remember the chef's name. I believe she's from Chicago.
Mindy Siegel.
And can you describe what the burger, or do you remember what's in that burger?
No, but I'm going to guess. Okay. I'm going to guess it has a pretzel bun.
Pretzel bun, pepper jack cheese, veal, pork, Hefeweizen beer.
Yeah. That's Mindy. Mindy Siegel. Mindy's Bakery, if you ever have a chance. She used to have a place called Hot Chocolate. Now she has a new place called Mindy's Bakery. Phenomenal if you're there in Chicago. Yeah, well, I mean, look, it's the Tom Sawyer school of writing cookbooks. Why don't you get someone else to do it, right? Painting the fence is fun. You can paint it too. So sometimes it's nice to get somebody else's perspective, and so that's what we do. We, Joanne Chang, I believe, has a recipe in there. Katie Birchman, John Delpha. Yeah, we love to, get our friends to jump in.
You have a few burgers from like around inspired from around the world here. I just want. I could list off a few, but one that I'll just bring up. Where did you get the idea from the mole spiced turkey burger with mango chili slaw?
So it makes sense, right? Like, to me, it makes sense because turkey mole is a classic dish, right? So I think that's what we were kind of probably jiving on. I probably stole it from Diane Kennedy. Reimagined it, I believe is the term. But yeah, that's what we do. Like, you look at stuff, you think about it, and then you kind of like, I wonder if this is going to work. And as I said, we probably had 300 recipes, and this one tested well because we're making them all. That summer that I wrote that thing, I mean, I don't know how many burgers I tried. It was awful. But that was really cool. And it just, to me, logically, when I worked for Schlesinger, there's a really good book called The Flavor Principle by Elizabeth Rosen. And it's out of print, but you can still get it. And what's really neat about the recipes are good, but there's this part in the back or front, I don't know, but it's like, I think I'm quoting, garlic plus lemon plus oregano equals grease. Right? And so she did all these things. And as a young chef, it really helped me understand kind of, because Chris really we had just come out of the 80s, which was fusion cuisine. And he was circling back and going, no, we're not doing fusion. We're going to be as authentic as we can. And so to me, it makes sense, turkey and then mole, which is very common, and then making you go, well, it's got to have something on top of it, and so a slaw, which would seem right, like like cordito or something, a pickle. So we did the mango, which made sense. It just kind of all makes sense, and then when you taste it, it tastes great.
Yeah. We got a question earlier, and I don't have it up now, but it was about the idea of New England barbecue, and you kind of touched on this idea of what culture is infused in food. I'm wondering, because you've said before, you've answered this question many times, that at least when I saw this interview, was I think from this last time you were at CitySpace 2019, you said that there is no New England barbecue, and you gave the reason for that. We don't have the same history that other regions do.
Correct.
I'm wondering, given that you don't consider we have this framework to work around, does that present challenges? Does that present opportunities? Sometimes when you have a framework, you can kind of test the limits on it. Do you consider this an open field?
Well, I still stand by that. So barbecue is America's true cuisine. Just to be clear, I don't know enough about indigenous cuisine. And of course, that would be the true cuisine that was here. But this came about when America was coming about, and I would say it's probably the most popular, oldest American cuisine, and is based on heritage. So does anybody know why we have mustard gold sauce in South Carolina? I'll come back to that. So it's based on heritage, and it's based around what's around you. So that's why we see like Texas barbecue has a lot of Mexican influence and different flavors that kind of maybe because it came about what they were using, the woods they used, right? So they would use post oak or mesquite because that's what was there. So a lot of that, and then preference and or spices they had. Because if you think about barbecue, like how do you think they got across the country? With like beef jerky, right? Like the dried meats, right? It's preserving. I mean, good. I go on Dave for this, but good refrigeration's only been around for so long. Like, how do you think they held stuff? So this is such a cool way to do it, and that's how it came about. Well, when we talk about history, a bunch of people from Germany moved to South Carolina, and they brought with them mustard. And that's why we see gold sauce there, right? Like it's kind of neat how these things happen. Oh, so cool. But so here we don't have that. But we can get people are like, oh, I can't believe I can get good barbecue in New England, which is a weird, really interesting statement. With that premise, then there's no good Japanese in Boston, and there's no good Italian in Boston, and there's no good French in Boston, which is all untrue, right? So there can be good barbecue here. We have the same equipment. I buy the same meat. I can get the same spices. I do not buy the same wood because that would be silly to ship up post oak from Texas. But it's really about history and technique and learning how to do it and do it right.
I want to go back to kind of your journey here and talk about Smoke Shop BBQ, because that is your big thing right now. After you had, like I said, this bifurcated period in your life where you were doing elevated dining in the South End, and then going and doing these competitions. You were able to bring these efforts together when you opened up the first Smoke Shop BBQ. I believe that was in 2016.
Yeah.
And then you opened the second one in 2017. And then you opened the third one in 2018.
Yeah.
Can you talk about, it seems like if something is reproducing that much, it seems like it's synthesizing well, like all the gears were turning for you. Did it feel like that? Does it feel like that now?
It's a little bit of the Instagram effect where like you see everyone in front of their house and it looks so beautiful. You just can't see the backyard that's burning down. And we're fine. That's not what I might mean. But it's I know people are like, wow, you're doing this great. We just opened 3 restaurants in 6 months. You show me someone that's done that. It's been intense. 3, we opened up Methuen, Woburn, and Chelmsford last week, right? And in 6 months, it's been bonkers. It's been a great learning curve. And so let's understand why I did this and actually how we got there. I'll tell you very quickly. I had Tremont for 15, 16 years at this point. I was looking to get married. Or I was with somebody and we were going to get married. We wanted to have kids. And I wanted to have a life that I could be really present for my children. As well as I wanted to build some financial security for my family. Restaurants, and I did okay, but I could see the writing on the wall for Tremont. And it was, I'd meet so many people like, oh, I didn't even know you were open, because we weren't the new hot kid anymore. And that's okay. It's fine. We became this really good neighborhood restaurant, which was great. And it was a good living. But also personally, I was no longer challenged. I was bored. We change the menu every month and do whatever, and that's fine, but it's still, after a while, you try going to the same building, to the same people, even though they're different, they're still the same people doing the same thing for 15 years, and I was ready for something new. And I felt like I had gotten my master's in the restaurant business, and I wanted to get my PhD, and I wanted to do multiple units. That's what I wanted to do. I partnered with a guy. We met for 3 hours. We kind of wrote down some stuff, and we were going to open up an izakaya, multiple unit izakayas. You should ask me, what do you know about cooking izakaya or cooking Japanese pub food? The answer is nothing. But I love going to izakayas. Man, I love sake. My partner, so we were working on this. I mean, we literally had designs, I think, I knew I had menus. My partner went to me and goes, why aren't we doing barbecue? And I'm like, I had never thought of that. It was my sport. It was my pastime. It's what I did for fun. And I'm like, let me think about that. I had to do some research. There was some technical stuff I had to think about. And I said, yeah, I think I'd like to do that. And so we pivoted, and that's what we did. So opening it was interesting. What was really eye-opening, I got told at Unit 3 I would have problems. I got told at Unit 6 I would have problems, or 5, 6. And at Unit 3, we had massive problems. Number 1, we killed it. Number 2, we killed it. Number 3, we were hemorrhaging everywhere, losing money everywhere. And what happens is we had good managers, great people. I was working with some great people, but these are single unit operators we'd just run and put your finger in the dam. But when you get 3, you can't do that. And then it becomes all about SOPs, right? All about the training, all about the teams, more so than the leadership. Is really important. So we brought in a whole new leadership team. and these are people from Cheesecake Factory, California Pizza Kitchen, and these are unbelievable, very successful hospitality engineers. These are top of the game people. They helped us build it. The crazy part I couldn't believe is someone would be like, "Oh, this location's worse than that location." I'm like, "They're the same." So things like that. And then we got to Unit 5. We had it again. Had to reorganize the executive team again, and now we're ready to go. So now we're at 7.
Yeah, I imagine that opening your third location is easier than opening up your second location. Opening your 7th location is easier than all the rest, I imagine. Are you? I mean, if I were taking an educated guess, I would say this is the 7th one isn't the last one. We're probably going to see. Are we going to see 50 more? Are we going to see 100 more?
I mean, I don't know.
Do we have any investors here tonight?
Yeah, I mean, we're happy to have that talk. We're looking, we always said 10, but I talked to this guy who's the CFO for 159 Dairy Queens, and he said, "Why 10?" And I'm like, "I don't know. That's what we agreed on. We shook hands and we went at it." And he's like, "Well, you need to look at it." And so basically it has to do with labor and how much more labor do we need? How hard can we run our teams? Because at some point you need to add more. So we'll figure it out. But right now I'm just having a hoot. It's fun. It's super fun. We have great teams.
You said in another interview that the 2 weeks before a restaurant opens is one of the most exciting times in a restaurant's opening because you have all the answers, you're ready to solve problems, and then the restaurant opens up and then things change. Yeah. Can you talk about how opening up last week at Chelmsford, how's that been?
It's the Mike Tyson quote, right? Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. You know what? This has actually been an amazing opening. I can't say enough how great the team has been. Chelmsford's been hard. Yesterday we set a company-wide record in sales. It was insane. Chelmsford did awesome. I took the day off to be with my family, so it was, as far as I'm concerned, great. It was good. It's going good. There's a really good crew out there. It's just constantly training, and motivating, and hiring the right people.
Getting outside your own restaurants here and talking about the Boston scene in general, the big news coming out of Boston in 2025 is that we have Michelin stars. Yes. They're coming to Boston. Now, tell me if you disagree with this characterization. I'm going to say some people consider Michelin stars to be the gold standard of dining experiences. Other people think that it's a tire company that's grifting tourism boards into paying millions of dollars for their cities to be included in Michelin guides. What do you think the Michelin guide coming to Boston will do for the city?
Well, I mean, I'm all for it. It's rising tides, right? But I'm not a big fan of less than.
Of what?
Less than.
Less than.
And there's this famous publication that does. Actually, let me tell you it this way. I won't beat somebody up. There used to be a restaurant called Clio, one of the best restaurants in the city. I don't care what rating you looked at, and it was awesome. Ken Oranger is awesome. And then there was Chris Lessinger. He had the East Coast Grill. Which one's better? Well, every day, Chris Lessinger served more people. Every day, they had more birthdays at East Coast Grill. But Clio's better. Right? See that? Which one's better? So actually, let me ask you this. Who's better? Yo-Yo Ma or Willie Nelson? And then who's to say, Stephanie? Who's to say, right? Nice to see you. But who's to say, right? And here's it's such I hate to say it because I'm not one of those guys I'm not saying East Coast elitists, but it's these elite people saying these things are like the best, and it's like I serve more. I mean, we served 5,000 people yesterday. So thanks, but we're not one of the 50 best, or are we? It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is my teams are happy and we're busy. But I just find the less than thing weird. But let's just say Jody Adams' new place gets a Michelin. I love her, and I would be ecstatic for her. Right? Let's say Ken Oranger gets one. Yes, fantastic, deserved. Right, so I'm happy for them, but where's my award?
Yeah. You've talked about one
I'm
comparison.
good though.
Yeah. You've talked about a comparison that you do like to make, that you strive for, and this might be me prompting you too much. I don't know. Do you already know you seem to be reading my mind. So I'm curious.
No.
Okay. You talk about how the burger the food that you want to compete with is somebody's memory of the best burger they have.
Oh yeah. So it's the fond memory thing. Yeah. So, I mean, look, I grew up in Seattle, and I used to fly to Brooklyn and see my Jewish grandma with my sister. We'd fly United, and she would take me to get bagels. This is the 1970s, and they were the best bagels ever. Lox, cream cheese, the best. You really think they were? 1970s in Brooklyn, and anyone seen Brooklyn in the 1970s? I mean, maybe, but that memory needs to stay there. I love Mama's. Their bagels are awesome, but they can't be better than that fond memory. So we want to be a close second or third to someone's fond memory. And the best barbecue you can ever have, and gosh, we get so many people that come in and go, "Oh, I'm from Tennessee and I know barbecue." We're like, "Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am." And hopefully we can be a close second or third to the great barbecue you have there. We don't need to be the best.
This is a question from the audience. Aside from Smoke Shop, where do you recommend getting a burger in Boston?
I haven't been there in a long time, but Charlie's Kitchen was always good, right? Is Eastern Standard still doing their burger? Because that was always really good. So I live north, so I don't come to Boston that much. But let me think about where I love a good burger. The Busy Bee's gone, right? That was an awesome burger. I don't know. So you tell me, who has got the best burger in Boston? Oh, I love Tasty Burger. I freaking love Tasty Burger. I told you I'm trying to lose weight, so it's not on my list. But I've always been a fan of them.
Your book, you have so many different types of burgers. And by the way, just to describe this cookbook for a moment, when Andy says he has 50 recipes in there, many of these recipes are broken up into different elements. So you have the meat, you have the bun, you have the toppings, and sometimes there's more than one topping. And so you have like a guidebook to many recipes in here. And if you just wanted to make one of the toppings and apply it to something else, this is a great cookbook for just exploring at a cookout and trying different things out. You have a burger that's brat burger. You have a burger that's wrapped in tortilla. You have a definition for what is a burger, because it's so expansive, it's so flexible. I'm curious. Do you remember what your definition of a burger is?
No.
Oh, okay.
Something.
I have this here. Does this still apply?
Oh, yeah, sure. Can I have it in one hand and a beer in the other and be talking to my friends? Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's a really succinct and kind of beautiful way to describe where a burger is often eaten, what a burger is. What are you saying about a burger in that statement you made?
Well, it just talks about how it's like one of the friendliest cuisines out there, right? It's a cuisine for social. It's a cuisine that, I don't know, it's just something about it that you're eating something in your hands with friends, I think is special. So, and I'm not sure I came up with that, so I don't want to. Andrea Penionson and Chris Hart wrote this book with me. We don't write books anymore, or haven't written a book together, but it's a really special thing when you write a book together with people, because you're able to formulate a ton of ideas and really get them said well. I bet you Andrea honed that one.
We have another great question from the audience, and that is, do you have, and I think we have a lot of people who cook for themselves at home here tonight. Thank you for your thoughtful questions. Do you have a quick, simple meal that you make when you don't feel like cooking?
Yes. I do like a fried rice, but usually with quinoa. I don't care. If I've worked all night, it's going to be frozen vegetables, and I'm tired. I usually have tofu, and then I do a mixture of fish sauce and soy sauce, sriracha. I mean, that's my quick go-to. I've been making that since college. Just really quick, really easy.
I'm wondering, because you've had so much success from the outside, and you're able to replicate it. How are you able to balance that that vibe of barbecue, which is familial and neighborly. It's relaxed with what I imagine has to be a systemization of production and services. How do you balance those two kind of necessary parts of the operation you have?
Very carefully. Look, I have a great team, and I wish Mateus was here. He's our VP of culinary. The guy's a genius. So it's really just a lot of communication. It's the number one problem in all relationships. So over communicating, really making sure everyone's clear on the goals and clear on what we're doing. And it's like the Brooklyn Bridge, just painting one side and going back and painting the other. Just kind of continually trying to get better than yesterday.
Looking back, we only have time for a couple more questions. So, in looking back at your life, can you tell me about a memorable burger that you had?
That's a great question. I would say I used to love to go to Charlie's Kitchen in Harvard Square after work. No, we would go to the other Charlie's. You know which one I'm talking about in Harvard Square with the How About Them Apples place, right? That used to be there where Starbucks was, right near the pit. We would go there after like, working, having drinks and going there and just sitting and laughing and talking about the night. That is probably one of my favorite burgers.
Kind of first, a question to just wrap us up. I'm wondering, cooking food, I think of it as something, we've touched upon this idea. It's something that brings together so many elements of culture and life. There's history and nature and science, ethics even, come into it. You are somebody, let me, before I go there, when you're teaching somebody to cook, you're teaching them so much. And I'm wondering, as somebody now who teaches many people, you don't just teach your staff, you also teach people who read your cookbook. So as somebody who's sought after for his lessons, how does it feel to be in that position? And really what I want to ask is your younger self, that young boy who would sit and eat tuna salad and popovers at your kitchen dinner or kitchen table, what would he think of the adult you've grown into and the teacher you are now?
That's a very big question.
Yeah, you have 1 hour to answer it.
I mean, what's neat about my parents, and as much as I was latchkey and they weren't around a lot, is they never told me I couldn't do anything. They were always like, go for it. Whatever you want to do, just do it. Or they weren't there to tell me not to do it. But either way, I'm cooking at Johnson & Wales in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from tonight, I believe. And it's my alma mater. And, I was reflecting upon it because I have 7 restaurants. And it's something that I didn't dare to ever. I don't say I didn't dare. I'm not surprised I do. And anyone who's known me for a long time shouldn't be very surprised. But I am surprised. And it's like, it's such a wild feeling to be, now that I'm 56, I'm kind of an elder statesman for the culinary scene, and it's weird and wild and surreal. But I'm tickled that I get to be here. It's to be very clear though, it's man, there's a direct correlation to me being married to an awesome woman, Rice. To having kids, to having these unbelievable friends around me, and my success, all those things. It's not just one thing; it's so many things. And I'd love to take credit for what I've done, but it's been a long path with lots of people on that path, and lots of learning. So I don't know. I think that the kid at 4th grade would be pretty psyched. First grade, eating those popovers would be pretty psyched. I mean, you mention it, and I'm going to mention it. We couldn't. I wasn't hungry, but we didn't have all the food, right? I paid, and we were federally assisted. So, the reason I give back so much is that because I can, and it's the right thing to do, and I don't. I mean, I got a feeling that I know who most of you are because you're here, but I think everybody can agree that no child should go hungry. like bare minimum, right? So start with that, and that's what I try to do. So
No child should go hungry. Very nice. Andy Husbands, everybody.
thank you.